What's going on, football fans? No, that's better. What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live, joined always by my main man, Jonathan. What's going on, brother? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. 2 days into the week, getting closer to Friday, so just got to keep on trucking.
That's it. Keep on pushing, keep on trucking, keep moving to the weekend just to start it all over again. It's a vicious
As
cycle, John.
it is a vicious cycle, but at least there is that goal every week. It's that carrot, man. And then I get there and I eat that carrot, and then I got to refill the trap, and then I eat the carrot again the next week, and then the week after, and the week after. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's a grind that never stops, that never can stop, never will stop, not until the day you die. Because I think, in a sense, when it does stop, I've known too many people who, once it stops, they're not long for the world, and that's not something I'm trying to do there. I'm trying
oh
to
yeah, no.
I'm trying to hang out and hang on as long as I can. You know what I'm saying? I got too much football to talk about, John. We got the Pro Bowl to talk about. We got the Senior Bowl to talk about. We got a lot of things to talk about today.
There's just too much football. Heaven's just gonna have to wait.
That's it. Well, without further ado, let's just get into it. Well, as we alluded to, there's a lot to talk about. May not necessarily be like some of the most hopping and happening topics, but this past weekend we had the Pro Bowl take place,
We
and
did.
normally I'd be like, okay, whatever, it's the Pro Bowl. But this year they tried to do some different stuff. Obviously they had a flag football game, skills tournament, that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering, like, did you like even tune into any of it at all?
No. I did not. I saw like bits and pieces on Twitter here and there.
Right.
Not even of the game. Just like the precision stuff. And I think it might have even been just warm ups for the precision passing stuff. Um, Although I did hear somebody, what Miles Garrett was that who it was that dislocated his toe?
Yeah,
Uh,
dislocated his toe, uh, which that's always like the big complaint, right? About the Pro Bowl. It's like, as much as preseason games are meaningless, the Pro Bowl game is very meaningless. Uh, it's I think a lot of the like players like somewhat enjoy it, and that's mainly because they get a chance to be around their peers in a setting that they don't normally get to be around. Um, a lot of like networking gets done from what I've heard in years past, like guys like trying to recruit guys to come, play with them in the off season, that kind of stuff. You get a different kind of exposure, but it's a reward that I don't think is very rewarding. Like, not necessarily for the fans, not necessarily for the players. The flag football game was at least a little interesting, uh, as far as like you had the Peyton and Eli, calling, like, head coaching it with,
no,
other like NFL like greats like Ray Lewis, and I think Jerry Rice was there too. I could be wrong on that one, but like helping coach uh, what the uh, what the teams were doing. But the part that I found interesting, and the only reason why I even wanted to talk about it for a few minutes, was the fact that everybody talks about how useless and how worthless the Pro Bowl is, and
yeah.
how like a waste of time it is. But it was still the highest rated sporting event that went on this weekend. Like, so
Mhm.
I guess what I'm really trying to talk about is like how like how like big is the NFL's crown? Like, at this point, we always talk about like the NFL reigns king and reigns supreme, but holy Pete.
I mean, let's put it this way. Yes, the Pro Bowl was the highest rated sporting event. There's not really a lot going on. There's the NBA, but who really cares about the NBA until the playoffs starts? Nobody
Right.
cares about the regular season. Same way in college basketball, nobody cares about the regular season in college basketball. Until you get to March Madness, nobody cares.
Right.
Until you get to the second season, because now it takes almost as long as the regular season to get through the NBA playoffs. Nobody cares. So yeah, there's that. But I'm gonna say you go out to like June, late May. What is it? Late May, early June, when they do the draft.
Right. Well,
You
the
know,
draft's in April, the end of April.
oh, is it April? I thought
Yeah.
it was later than that.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not.
it's
I may have
it's
got
in
either way.
April.
Either way, April. You go to April, and now you got baseball season was just kicked off, and so you got games all over the place there, and the draft is going to be bigger than any of them.
Yeah.
Any
It's like,
probably the whole MLB combined, or close to it, anyways.
I
And it's
think
just the draft.
yeah, let's see. It's March, April. Like I think the numbers of the draft actually like rival some of the like March, like early round March Madness games.
Hmm.
Like, and that's just the draft. That's insane
Yeah,
to me. You
that is
know,
absolutely insane.
uh, but yeah, it's like it's again like NFL reigns supreme. Now a
You got that
question that I
if you got that shield on it, people are
dude,
going to watch.
that's it. So the question that I have, and I want to like have for chat too, if y'all got an interesting thought, throw it up in there. Um, is like what would you replace the Pro Bowl with? Like, would you do it at a different time of year? Like, is there a way that you could try to make it incentive based, or would you just change the structure altogether?
So and we'll if anybody brings anything up in chat, we'll highlight it here. But for me, if I'm going to do it, we've already talked about in the move to 17 games. Everybody said now, let's have 2 bye weeks. You have
Right,
a bye week. Everybody would have a bye week after like 6 or 7 games, another 6 or 7 games, and then you have another bye week, and then you get the last or 5 or 6 games or whatever. And so you would have 2 bye weeks throughout the year. My suggestion would be yes, there's 2 bye weeks, but everybody gets technically a bye week, right? And then like scattered wherever. But then there is in the middle of the season, take 2 weeks. Nobody plays for 2 weeks, and then you go. And I honestly say, like, don't even worry about the flag football stuff. I'm saying just do the precision passing. Maybe
right,
bring back the long pass. Maybe do stuff like races for like the skill positions. See who's like the fastest man in the NFL with regards to. And so that way you could get guys that are invited to things. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like Pro Bowl guys. It's like for this race, just be who are the fastest guys, who have been the
right,
fastest guys
right.
in the NFL this year. Let's get them out there.
Just do like a full
Stuff like that.
NFL skills challenge, and then maybe turn the Pro Bowl just into an award. Like
Exactly.
that's not a bad
Because
idea.
like
Like you could even do
and
like
say, hey, you're a Pro Bowler. You're just like All Pro. Like we don't
right,
have an All Pro Bowl now. It's just literally somebody says, hey, you're an All.
you're an all pro. Right.
Maybe even take it and say instead of All Pro, we get rid of the All Pro and we say Pro Bowl is the best players in the league. And that's something that's done after the season. Maybe even have a whole ceremony if you want to have
Right,
an
right.
event or whatever, and invite people to it and get the press. And that's just another event that you could
Yeah, yeah.
televise and beat the crap out of
Like
NBA and whoever else at the time.
yeah, then tag like you could tag it on to the
The
SBs or
ESPYS.
whatever. Yeah. Blizz says D line, O line, and sumo wrestling.
That is a much better suggestion.
I think
Much, much better.
Faithful is going on there with you making an award ceremony, give their family a paid vacation, like plus
Yep.
a skills challenge. I think a skills challenge. Uh, I think I would like a skills challenge, and I also would like it in a sense of like a futures, like maybe not necessarily have the Pro Bowlers compete, but have like up and coming guys, because I believe like Fred hits it here is like just get rid of it because it's stupid. I think it's like a lot of people feel that way, but they're not going to as long as people keep watching it. Like that was one of the points that I found interesting. You had 6.4 million people tune into the Pro Bowl. Okay, so the NFL is not giving up on that ad revenue
No.
that it can ring out like during that time slot. So knowing that they're not going to get rid of it because hey they like money, you know,
Yeah.
it's like what could we do to make it more entertaining for us and more like bearable in a sense and entertaining for
Well,
the players
make it.
involved.
Well, make it so. So the problem that you run into now is so many of the best players either they get to the end of the season, and if they didn't make it, if they're not playing still, obviously in the Super Bowl at this point, like Josh Allen,
Right.
why would he want to go to the Pro Bowl when he could be resting and recuperating and
Yep. Yep.
getting treatment and doing all the things? And instead of that, he's not got to go play a football game. In this case, it was flag football, but he still had to go play a football game if he was going to go.
Right.
And so you get so many guys that just don't go anymore. It's like turned into the NFL version of the NBA slam dunk contest. None of the guys that everybody wants to see in the slam dunk contest actually go into the slam dunk contest.
Right.
That's the one thing I'll say about baseball. Baseball, like when they say, hey, when they invite people to do the home run derby, unless they're injured, if they're legitimately injured, by and large, though, like most guys, like if you get invited, they show up.
Right.
Like the big hitters, the guys that you want to see, those guys that are leading the league in home runs, or they're in the top 10 of the home runs, like they all show up, and it's a great event outside of the All-Star game.
Right. Yeah. I agree. But it's a problem that a lot of sports have. Like NBA's All-Star game is a little bit of a joke as far as like there's nobody playing defense. Well, there's barely anybody playing defense in the NBA anyway, but nobody playing defense there, and so it's just like I said, it's something that every league does. We just got to figure out a way. Not we, but they just need to figure out a better way to go about it. MJ's put this comment up twice. So I want to go ahead and touch on it before we move on. Thoughts on Ian Rappaport saying Raiders have granted Saints permission for Derek Carr to visit. Yeah, no, it's this due diligence at this point. Okay, because just like with Watson, Carr has a no trade clause. So not only does the Saints or whoever's interested in Carr have to come up with the proper compensation for the Saints, they also have to, or not the Saints, the Raiders, they also have to impress Carr. So, it's for the Raiders' best interest to let Carr go visit whoever he wants to go visit.
Well, there was the whole thing I read yesterday or something like that, maybe a couple days ago, where they basically the Raiders didn't want him to go because of the no trade clause. They didn't want him to go go seeking his own trade, because then it could turn around and be like, okay, instead of a trade, because I have a no trade clause, he go out there and find out like what am I actually worth on the open market.
Okay, that's a.
And then he could basically sabotage the whole process so that the Raiders get nothing out of it, and eventually just force them to have to cut him. And then he goes on the free agency market. Now he can get whatever he thinks that he can get. And so it's like they're in their mind, they're like trying to figure out what's the best way to go about this so that he's happy, doesn't screw us, doesn't break the system, whatever, so that everybody gets so it becomes a win-win situation instead of a Derek Carr winning, Raiders eating dirt situation.
Right. Yep. No, I agree there. He also follows it up with, do you think Atlanta will be interested? I don't think so, just because the type of quarterback that Carr is, and the type of system that we feel like Smith is going to want to continue to run. Like, Carr's not athletic enough. That may not be the main game. Like, it may not be like Mariota level athlete that we need, but I think you need more of an athlete than what Carr is, in my opinion. So I don't think the Falcons will be interested.
I also just, if it were to happen, I think it would exactly what you said before, due diligence. That'd be about it. So
that's about it. Yep. Jay Black says the Pro Bowl is worthless at this point, except to the players who get money, comps, awards for being selected. The Pro Bowl is supposed to be about showing who's the best of the best in the AFL and the NFL. I agree that that's what it was supposed to be, but the idea of going out and potentially getting really hurt is not something that these players are going to subject themselves to, because we've all heard the stories of what was it, Charles Woodson going like wide, and Sean Taylor going wide open at the Pro Bowl, and everybody's like, "Dude, calm the f down,"
Yeah.
Like that's not what we're trying to do here. So yeah, I don't know. There's something that they're because they make too much money off of ad revenue. They're not going to move off of it. So I think that it's just what can we do to make it more entertaining to us, or just like I don't know, skills competition. Fred Bus tipped us $5, which we
Fred.
appreciate that, Fred. He says, "I think the Falcons will be a good team and extremely dangerous team." Yeah, there's a good chance. Like we're really going to have to see after the draft and free agency goes, but things are starting to shape up, which we're definitely going to get into.
I mean, I think once we get through free agency, at least the big kind of early days, and see like what kind of moves we're trying to make. I did like seeing Cordell Patterson like championing
Oh yeah,
Deron Payne, like, come on down.
yep.
I'm
No,
like,
he is. Somebody said that Patterson. It was Nick said Patterson recruiting Keenan Allen. Patterson is like recruiting everybody.
yeah,
Like
he is.
anybody, everybody he thinks that he could get to play here. He's
Well,
definitely
and I saw somebody like possibly dealing Allen. Think he's a good fit. He's not the burner. Like he's probably more actually like someone like a Drake London. He's not necessarily a burner,
right.
but he's a really good possession receiver. Um, I responded to somebody about this on Twitter, which is basically I like Keenan Allen. I think he's a really good receiver. The injury concerns, they concern me. I mean, the guy's just straight up been injured every single year, it feels like.
Yep.
Uh, and, how much longer can his body take being injured before it just stays injured? Don't know. So,
That's it. Yep. Well, that pretty much wraps up the Pro Bowl talk. So next thing is we'll move on into everybody's favorite segment, Ballers and Followers. We only got two more of these, folks. We got this one and
yep,
then next week's Ballers and Followers. This one is brought to you by, I haven't seen Willie Doc, so
I
I'm going
know.
to say, I guess this one's brought to you by the Senior Bowl in a sense, I guess. Bless you. Anyway, so this week's Ballers Followers is going to be kind of a little bit more Senior Bowl centric, as we live streamed on Saturday, and for all those who joined us, we appreciate it. That was a lot of fun,
It
and
was a lot of fun.
we had a good time doing it. So without much further ado, our baller is Michael Wilson, a wide receiver out of Stanford, who during practices and even the game really showed to be like he has the skill set to be a better pro than he was a college player. I think
Nice.
at Stanford he suffered from uh, a like just bad quarterback play. He had Slovis for a few years, who did I don't even know who their quarterback was this year, but he's a guy who's good body size, like 6'2", 205.
Yeah.
Like he's physical enough to fight through possessions, shifty enough to get like create himself space. He's a guy who I could easily see being there in the third round, fourth round, that area, and coming in and just being a good like number two wide receiver. This draft seems to be filled with a lot of number two wide receivers, which is great because we could use one.
Yep. And before you reveal the fall, who the follow is,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a guess at it because you haven't told me
No,
this.
I haven't said one thing.
I'm going to take a guess.
What you got?
Andre Carter.
Andre Carter. I wonder if we're gonna keep. We'll give it a minute. I'm gonna see if the chat wants to.
Who do you guys think is the follow?
Yeah, who y'all think the faller is? Because obviously, like this is also kind of a like putting a bow on the Senior Bowl. The whole week that I was down there, was beautiful. Oh, okay, I might have Fred. If I did, I apologize. There was anyway. I'll double check that here in a minute. Somebody says Hyatt. I don't even think Hyatt was there. That was the other wide receiver out of Tennessee. I think I don't believe he was there. He was slated to be, but I think
I
he
didn't
backed
hear.
out.
I didn't see anything about him at all.
Right. Nick says the follower was Max Duggan. Very well could have been because Max Duggan looked rough. Like he looked rough
He did
throughout the
look
whole
rough.
practices and even in the game didn't look all that good.
Hit the like
Yes,
button, guys.
yeah, if y'all are willing, definitely hit the like button. It helps us out. If you're new here, subscribe, all that good fun stuff.
Yep.
But I guess without much further ado, we will go ahead and Jonathan, you were correct. It
Yep.
was Andre Carter. I don't know if I necessarily consider it being like his fault per se, but going into the Senior Bowl, there was some like hype that he was going to shoot up the draft boards and like the Senior Bowl was going to be a chance that, for him to really showcase his talents. I went and watched a couple games before I went, and I was like, I just don't see it. If it's not, he was a guy who rushed from the wide nine, and if it wasn't just a straight shot to the quarterback, he wasn't getting there. And I guess I'm just having way too much PTSD from Vic Beasley
Yep.
rushing from the wide nine. And I was like, I can't do it.
Like the
Got,
exact opposite of him. I know he had a little bit coming in, but I think coming out of the Senior Bowl, Keon White. I think he's a guy that like was essentially what Andre Carter, what everybody thought Andre Carter would be.
right. And so like we get down there and just like I think Andre the whole 3 day practice probably won maybe 2 reps, uh, all 3 days, and then uh, got a lot of playing time during the game and didn't really do much during the game. So yeah, he's definitely a guy who I think is going to test real well, like at the combine. He's going to jump out of the gym and all that other stuff. Like he's going to run good, but he just didn't have a plan when it comes to uh, like rushing the passer and stuff like that. Chris says the DN from Kansas stood out during the game. He stood out during the practices too. That's Lonnie Phelps. Like he's a little speedball rusher, and he's a guy who, like, yeah, he impressed quite a bit with his speed and his shiftiness. But well,
Well,
cool. Well, that is the
did he seem? Because I that was a name I hadn't really heard. But was he able to win if his speed didn't win? Like
yeah.
was he
He
able?
had sorry, he had like some pass rush moves, right? Like he was able to like do that dip and rip, where you dip that shoulder and then like rip up under the offensive lineman, which for like his knock is like he's like 6'1", right? He's not a big tall, doesn't have a long arms but like if the league showed you anything, like Hassan Reddick's not a big guy,
Yeah.
and he just has a knack for getting after the quarterback. So
I mean, like he played the Bills this year. I'm blanking on his name. He got injured.
Von Miller,
Von Miller. He's
yeah,
not a big guy.
no,
Like Von
no,
Miller's not a bit. He's just got tree trunks for arms.
yeah.
Is supremely strong, but he's a fast guy that can. But he's got really good moves. But he's not a big guy. He's like what two? He's probably 250.
I was gonna say he's like 240. What I was thinking. I could be wrong, but
Could be.
but yeah, no, he's like Lonnie Phelps is a guy who, like, if he's sitting there in the back end of the fourth or something, and you want to add, like, if we didn't have a D'Angelo Malone already,
Yeah.
I'd be down to the table for Lonnie Phelps. But you already kind of have a DPR, designated pass rusher, that needs to develop more, right? You already have that in D'Angelo Malone. So I don't know if we could necessarily. I mean, you can't ever have too many pass rushers, but that might be a little bit much of a stretch. Everybody's talking about Tajay Spears from Tulane. Joshua says Terry won't be able to stop himself from getting Spears from Tulane. Dude, I jump for joy because that cat was explosive and electric all week long. So like he phased into another dimension on one play and popped out the other side. It was like dude was a ghost at times trying to get tackled. So yeah, he like Terry might be able to help himself, but I know I couldn't. If he was sitting there in the fourth, done. I don't even care. We need to go have a conversation about it.
what
CP or who?
what if you had in the fourth you had him or Kenny McIntosh?
That'd be tough. That'd be real tough because I think McIntosh gives you more in pass pro, but I think like just overall explosiveness, Spears is like way more explosive than McIntosh. Like McIntosh is good. He's good coming out of the backfield. He might give you a little bit more running in between the tackles because I think he's a little bit thicker than Spears. But Spears is a true like home run threat from wherever. He could house
Yeah.
it from the 1 yard line. He breaks out into the open field and it's just about done. So
Tyreek Hill kind
Spears
of
is a
guy,
guy I'm high on.
like a Tyreek
What is that?
Hill kind of guy.
Oh yeah. Like imagine Tyreek Hill as like a full on running back. That's a little bit thicker, but I just like his pass pro didn't do much for me. But
Yeah. Now
he would
I'm,
start
I'm
out as a third down back.
real quick.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with balls and falls, but I'm going to warn chat that
Uh-oh.
this right here, Blizz, if anybody ever brings up Greg Roman as a possible QB coach or offensive anything with relation to the Falcons, we will ban you. Permaban, you're gone. Just saying.
We ain't gonna ban you, but still, I agree in the aspect of like, no, you can keep Greg Roman well away from my team because
Oh
like
man.
Greg Roman, he's only about good at getting quarterbacks hurt, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Everywhere he has been has been just that.
He tries to kill quarterbacks for some
Yep,
reason.
that is what he is definitely good at. Moving on to our next topic of choice, we finally got to hear our new DC. Uh,
Mhm.
he had a press conference yesterday and there wasn't like a ton there. I'm not even gonna lie. He said the things you wanted him to say, but
Even out of your Falcon mind.
yeah, what's up, buddy? Sorry, I'm trying to get our other things set up. Okay,
No,
we're
you're
good to go
fine.
now. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, like we got to hear him talk about like what he wants out of his team, what he's looking for. He used pretty much every how do your Falcon mind agrees with you. He says recommending roaming should be a bannable offense.
See, I told you.
That's right. But so Ryan Nielsen, like I said, we finally got to hear from him, hear
Yeah.
some of his thoughts, hear what he thinks about this team. Talked about like hitting the ground running and going out to Vegas and meeting all the guys out there. And like he didn't tell us anything groundbreaking or earth shattering. He didn't
No.
confirm one way or the other whether it was going to be a 3-4 or a 4-3. He said the thing that most DCs say. That's something
Multiple.
for the media to get caught up in. And he's right. Like if you study modern NFL defenses, they're not one or the other. They're whatever they need to be.
Yep.
Like the times that you are in base is like less than 30, well, like less than 40%. Most teams run nickel 72% of the time.
Yep.
And so, which we all know nickel is, one less linebacker and an extra defensive back. Now you might go with big nickel and run some safeties, or you could get like somewhat exotic, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and do something like 3 down linemen and 6 defensive backs, like a really big nickel.
As Chris says, I just want to stop somebody defensive scheme.
That's it. That's what he said. He said, just stop somebody.
Yep.
He called it the Falcons defense. He said, that's what we're going to be is the Falcons defense. And I was like, okay, all right. I hear you.
Yeah.
But
But I agree. Like he kind of had coach speak, right? A little bit when they tried to pin him down. Like, what are we going to see? Which I don't blame him for not necessarily like being super specific because dude just got the job a week ago.
Right.
And you don't. I appreciate that he didn't try to come out and be super like, man, we're gonna kick him in the dirt. We're gonna do this. We're gonna bury the mamas. Just like all
Bury
the
the mamas.
crazy. Yeah. I mean, there's some like sometimes you hear crazy stuff like that, and then when stuff doesn't quite work out, you're like, what happened to all the burying the mama stuff? And you're like,
Right.
well, didn't quite work out the way we wanted it to. But so look, I think the guy, he's when you listen to like what he wants. Granted, as Nick said earlier, talk is cheap, right? So with talk being cheap, it is cheap, as we saw with later like Dan Quinn and embrace the suck and all this other stuff, and
Right.
yada yada yada. All I care about is look at who we have, add to what we have with guys that you feel can make this team better, and then whatever you end up with after free agency, after draft, all that stuff, as you look at who we have and what we have available to us, then go and say, what is the best way for me to put every single one of these pieces in a position to succeed based on what they are.
Right.
And if you can do that, then you're going to be successful. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and try to. I am not a coaching guru. Like I am not a guy who I have never coached anything in my life. I have never sat in on one of these classrooms. So I'm not going to sit here and try to deep dive you and say, are they running the 4-2-5 with split safeties and this and that? I mean,
a book. Does that count for anything?
Hey, you're at least one step above me. Look, I can watch a game and I can tell you good defense from bad most of the time. I know a little bit, when that stuff. But at the end of the day, all I care about is, or one thing I do know for sure: if you ask guys to do things they are not capable of doing, you're just asking for failure.
That's it.
All right. If you know what your guys are capable of, and this year maybe he's definitely going to find out more on the fly. But as you become better acquainted with them and you realize what they can and what they can't do, then as long as you're able to adjust to that and say, okay, you can't do that, but you can do that. So we're going to put you here to do that, whatever that is, and we're going to make you successful.
Yeah. The aspects that I found interesting wasn't necessarily his presser. I mean, he used about every aggressive adjective he could muster to describe Grady Jarrett, which was great.
Yeah.
I liked what he said about the fact that he'd already talked to Troy Anderson a couple times,
like 3 or 4 times.
Right, and so that is good. As far as that goes, I think those things are important. Like these are the guys that he's going to have to work with, so you need to figure out what like the best way to go about it. But the things that intrigued me about this whole this past week on the defensive side of the ball is the fact that you added Jerry Gray, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I scared some folks on Twitter when I was doing some digging on Jerry Gray, and I brought up an article that was talking about a Ruby formation, which is a 3-3-6. So 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 3 safeties, and 3 corners, right? So. And everybody's like, I don't know if I like that. And I'm like, well, that was like what he was trying to install as a DC when he was in Tennessee or whatever. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what he's going to do here. But then I found like another article breaking down how the Packers were able to shut down Justin Jefferson. And, what that entailed. And what that entailed was like a lot of like quarters coverages and split safeties and things that if you like do a little bit of digging into the Saints like coverage schemes are very similar to what they're doing over there, with split safety coverages, a lot of either like cover 2 or cover 3. Like this is what the modern NFL is. And so what I think, and that's what I was telling you on the phone earlier when we were having our little production meeting or whatnot, was what it really seems like is you have the a potential of like the guys you wanted, the Fangios, the Floreses, looking at the talent we have and saying, all right, look, I'm not like I want to work with something a little bit better than that. Especially if a guy like Flores, who has aspirations of being a head coach again, he
Mhm.
comes here, and if it doesn't immediately turn around, that has a possibility of like tanking his reputation and
Yeah,
making him a less attractive like candidate, in other. So he takes the Minnesota job where they have some talent, something that he can work with. And then also you have like same thing with Steve Wilkes. Wilkes takes the job, or at least looks like he's going to take the job out in San Francisco. All right. Well, the Jets and the Texans have just hired, not just, but in the past 2 years, hired former 49ers defensive coordinators. So if Wilkes steps in there and keeps that thing rolling,
yeah. All he's got to do is just keep it going.
right. So he keeps that train rolling.
Mhm.
He probably sees it as a way to springboard himself into like a head coaching contention again, right? Same thing with like what Todd Bowles did, as far as being down there in Tampa. So you hire the up and coming guy who hasn't necessarily made for a name for himself yet. Well respected, but not like mainstream, right?
Right.
But it really did have a feeling that Arthur Smith wants to be able to turn his back on the defense. Not that he
Yep.
ain't trying to pay attention, but he doesn't want to have to like. It seems like he doesn't want to have to micromanage everything,
Right.
which for him is like how he seems to like going to balance his load as being his offensive scheme and also being the head coach, right?
Right.
So he has prior experience with Gary in Tennessee.
Hmm.
They overlap there. So this is a guy he knows, probably trusts, and brings him in as essentially the defensive overseer because his
Yeah.
title is assistant head coach slash defense. So
Yep.
it almost seems like he's going to be the defensive general manager. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like I don't necessarily like because generally speaking, it's head. When you look at the org chart, you know, head coach top. I mean, obviously you got the general manager, owner, yada
Right,
yada
right,
yada, president, owner, and so forth. But if we're talking about the team itself, you got the head coach up here. He's the top of the pyramid, and then you generally directly below them is the OC and DC. Those are like the next in line. Those are the VPs, right? I'm assuming Jared Gray is below uh, uh, Nielsen, right? So he's the next rung down from Nielsen. So I think that's what he's going to be. Is he's going to be essentially like the
like
uh,
defensive
ju-
quality
ju-
control, maybe.
yeah, but not necessarily that. I don't think. I think I do. What I do think is Jerry Gray is going to be a guy that will keep an eye on the defense, offer Nielsen, help with, you know, like being in this position if Nielsen wants it, right?
Right.
Don't try to force it on him. But if he comes to you, be like, hey, I'm trying to figure out a good way to do this, or this is what I'm looking to try to do. I'm open to some ideas, yada yada yada, and then that's what Jerry Gray is there to do. But also potentially like he Arthur Smith probably understands that with Jerry Gray in the room, he's not the top guy. Nielsen's the top guy on that defense. But as long as Jerry Gray's in that room, like he won't let it get out of hand.
Right. Yep.
And I think that's what Jerry Gray. For one, he's a good coach. I mean, we've seen like
Oh yeah.
defenses wherever he's been have been good. You're right. So he's a good coach. And Nielsen's a good coach. They're both good coaches. And now we have Huxtable coming in. And that's another guy that it's like they're stacking. I saw this today on Twitter. It's like the thing that's like post Shanahan under Dan Quinn is we didn't really like stack that coaching talent like we should
Right.
have been. Whereas here they're like, okay, we got Ryan Nielsen. He's a up and coming hot name. We got him. We also got Jerry Gray. This guy has done it, been there. He knows what it takes to be a good defense. We got Huxtable. This guy's been good too. So like they're stacking up that talent because they're probably going to lose some of these guys, assuming this is all successful. They're going to lose some of these guys to, Huxtable may become a DC later. Jerry Gray may actually be a full DC later as well. But for now, this is helping Ryan Nielsen get things in order, keep everything together, so that things don't just fall apart, and that allows Arthur to then go over to the offense and basically focus on the offense and
Right.
make sure that that offense is ready to go come week one.
No, yeah, exactly. That I think that's the idea. And then now, especially with today's news of losing Charles London to the Titans, he goes from being our QB coach to their passing game coordinator and QB coach. It's a slight upgrade for him, but it's the next step. And I think of his ultimate goal of being an offensive coordinator and then potentially a head coach as well. So we're going to have to replace Charles London. It's being like heavily rumored right now that it's going to like it could potentially be TJ Yates moving over from wide receivers coach and then
Yep.
just replacing him, which makes sense. Um, oh yeah, okay. I mean, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. There, Huxtable from Alabama. Here's one connection that I thought about today, and I thought was interesting when it comes to Huxtable. Two things. One, he's off. He's coached with Nielsen at NC State, so they have a former relationship there. This is probably a guy that Nielsen respects. He via his coaching background is a DC as well, and like a linebackers coach. So they probably speak a lot of the same language as far as like pressures and packages and things like that. And so he seems like a potential like mentor type as well. But here's the interesting part that I found about Huxtable that I found interesting was the idea that he's just spent the last 2 years with Nick Saban
Mm-hmm.
out in Alabama. So, JR, why is that a big deal? Okay, what coaching tree did Dean Pease come from? Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Where did Saban develop his defense? At the Browns with Bill Belichick.
Yep.
They run a very, very similar defense. They came up with that defense together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, they like Smith said this, Fontenot said this, Nielsen said this,
Nielsen said it. Yep.
that they didn't want to come in here and blow it up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to blow it up, you need somebody who's familiar with it, who's familiar with the workings of it, how it works, what the responsibilities are, all that kind of stuff. So, I thought maybe you would get one reason why you were going after Flores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, very familiar with the Nick Saban and Bill Belichick tree. So next best thing. Another aspect is Nielsen, who just not Nielsen Huxtable, who just spent 2 or 3 years under Nick Saban, learning his system. Now he gets to bring it here and continue to help push it forward, help make the transitions, help make the connections. Oh, this is like this and this is like that, and we can run this, so they're creating a very strong defensive room, in my opinion, as far as the minds that are
Yes.
over there. Like
Yes.
you had a very strong mind in Dean Pease. You lost that strong mind to retirement. Now you had to. It's almost like you had to replace Dean Pease's experience with three guys, you know, in a sense. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see. And like some folks are like bringing up like free agency, which I'm kind of like I'm gonna piggyback off of. I don't think I made a. Yeah, okay. We'll just boom. There it is. So now with Gray being in here, having a more clearer picture of what we might be running, like there's some names that may not necessarily be big splashes because Chris puts up points like I don't think we're going to make huge splashes in free agency. The fans might be expecting we need more than just one piece. I agree, completely agree. But now that you know, like you have these coaches in here, you can start looking at like who might be better fits. Like a James Bradbury, maybe not a Bradbury per se, but like Sheldon Rankins might be a good fit. Like he spent his early days in New Orleans with Nielsen. Same thing with Marcus Davenport. Same thing with Rasul Douglas. Everything all right over there, John? Oh,
Just let me step away for just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay.
okay, man. Yeah, do what you got to do. Drop out if you need to. I can talk. All right. So anyway, uh, that's the fun thing about doing what we do. We're not necessarily professionals, so I don't know. Sometimes y'all may hear my kid in the background, and Jonathan's got stuff going on in his house as well. So anyway, so yeah, guys like Rasul Douglas and guys like Rankins may not break the bank because you're going to need more than one guy. Uh, you know, Dayraw Sports says, I say we're 5 players away on defense, a valid number 2 corner, another defensive tackle, safety, edge rusher, and linebacker. Right. These are all things that are going to need to be addressed. Josh asks a very solid question, trying to find it. Where did it go? About Josh Gillum asked a question earlier that said, what's more important, a wide receiver 2 or a cornerback 2? That's going to be an interesting debate to have, right? Like if you had to choose one, what's more important to you? Uh, I would say, oh man, I don't know. It's tough. I think both are needed. Uh, yeah, Tony Wright is like champion Denzel Mims. If Mims makes it out of the Jets, that's a guy I would definitely like get involved in. I think he's a guy who could be a good number 2. There you are. Hello again.
Yeah.
Everything
Hey,
good?
how's it going? I heard something in the background. It was
Yeah.
it turns out it was a car backfiring,
Ah,
but it scared the crap out of the wife,
right.
uh,
Yep.
and understandably. And so
Understandably.
I'm sitting here, but I'm hearing like her moving up and down the hallway. I thought I
Right.
heard
Right.
somebody like making an aggressive sound, and I was like, okay, I got to see what's going on here. So I had to go
Right.
check it out. But it turns out, yeah, it was just a backfire. And she was like locking the doors and all this other
Oh
stuff
yeah.
because
Yeah. I got you.
she honestly thought it was a drive-by. So,
Here she is right here. She says, "Y'all, I swear y'all thought it was a drive-by."
all right.
Oh Lord. But anyway, so
I,
yeah, there's a lot of things that we are going to need in free agency, and there's a lot of guys who are going to fit that bill, and we got a little over a month to talk about it because it's the 7th of February. Free agency doesn't start until the 15th. So that's
yep.
now that the Senior Bowl is kind of behind me. The big focus now is going to be like free agents and draft. So yeah,
Well,
there's players out there. What's up, buddy?
yeah, and I saw, just as I was getting ready to step up, somebody was I can't remember where it was. I think we already showed it was Chris here. He's like, we're not going to
Yeah,
make the huge splash free agent signings. It depends on what you consider to be huge, right? I think if he actually gets out of Washington, like if Washington does not sign him in free agency, I hope that will be the guy that if we're going to spend big, you spend big to bring in a Deron Payne,
yeah. You said
right?
him next to Grady.
Right.
Holy Pete. I think
Well,
he'd be
and somebody tweeted out a mock draft earlier today. I retweeted it because I mean I would love if this were to happen, but we did 2 trade backs in the first round. We eventually went to like the second or the 20th pick in the first round. But the first trade was from 8 back to 13, and part of that trade was Quinnen Williams. I would take that in a absolute. I don't think there's any way that he gets out of New York. But if that were to happen instead of the Deron Payne stuff, then I would be cool with that. But like, but if there's the one guy that I'm going to like really put out the money for, it's going to be a Deron Payne type of guy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's he's the one I was because he fits the bill. He's a dominant player and he's young.
Yep.
You
And again, if you put Deron Payne next to Grady Jarrett on first and second down at the very minimum, probably third down too. But if you put obviously he can't be in there every play. But the plays that he's there next to Grady Jarrett with Ebiketie and Malone on the outsides, or however you want to put those guys out there, but just those two guys in the middle will create enough havoc together, I think, that you don't necessarily have to go out and do super crazy stuff on the edges as far as the cornerbacks and your safeties, because they're probably not going to have to be asked to do super crazy long coverages on their routes and things of that nature. And so you're immediately going to make AJ Terrell a better player. You're going to immediately make Richie Grant a better player. You're immediately going to make whoever you end up putting out as cornerback, whether it's a drafted guy, whether it's a free agent guy, whatever, on the other side, that guy's immediately getting better because now they, in most plays, they're probably, and especially against like the average to below average teams, they're going to have a max of 3 seconds to get the ball off, and and a lot of them probably even less than that. So
Chris asks, what are our thoughts on a safety not named Bates? And Chandler kind of answered it. Von Bell meets well. Rasul Douglas, I believe he's a safety. Rasul Douglas.
I thought he was a corner. Maybe he's a corner converted to safety. He might be kind of a hybrid both.
He might be. And like I said, I haven't like dove headfirst like with the Senior Bowl stuff. I haven't been able to like really dive into the free agency stuff as of yet, which that's what I plan on doing this week.
But he may be because one of the things you talked about in one of your tweets was how Gray liked to do the 3 safety. Look, Rasul Douglas could be that third safety where you got the deep safety, and then Rasul Douglas is your like slot / tight end guy / blitzer guy or whatever.
I'm gonna be real interested to see what they do with like bringing Isaiah Oliver if they bring him back, because like he did real good down close to the line of scrimmage, and covering the tight ends and running backs, and it's just like not putting him like he does well as long as you're not putting him out on the boundary, asking him to cover like a legit number 1 wide receiver. So it's going to be really interesting as we move forward. But as we promised, folks, today is going to be our first mock draft simulator, our first community mock that we're going to run. That's the name of the simulator that we're using. It's Rise and Draft. It's riseanddraft.com. Okay. That's the name of the mock draft simulator. So I'm going to go ahead and get it up. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see that well enough. I might. Okay. That's fine. So we're going to do full 7 rounds, and we're not going to go super fast because we want to be able to discuss. As you can see already in this database, CJ Stroud is their number 1 ranked player. So keep that in mind. On this one, Jalen Carter is ranked number 4. Okay. So there's a real good chance that Carter could be there when we go to pick.
Why don't we, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to get rid of that banner because it's covering up the bottom part of this.
That's fine. So, all right, let's hit start and see what happens. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set the stage. I am not accepting any trades whatsoever.
Yes, for this mock, we're not accepting any trades.
For the first few mocks that we do, we're not accepting trades. I'm just going to reject them, and we're just going to keep moving. We're going to pick our 7 picks, okay? Or 9 picks or whatever it is. All right, and here we go. All right, so right off the board, this is where, okay, let's go reject. Come on. Why are you not rejecting? Interesting. Oh, hold on. What happened? There we go. Maybe. First time I've tried to use them on a live. Oh, I think it's even stopping everything up. Huh. You
Uh-oh.
there?
Yeah. Can you
There
hear
we
me?
go. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's see if I can look at who so far on the board is still uh CJ Stroud still on the board. Tyree Wilson's still on the board. Joey Porter Jr. is on the board. Peters Skoronsky
Skoronsky,
is on the board. Quentin Johnson and
Jordan Addison.
Jordan Addison. So out of these, I'm thinking and leaning towards either Tyree Wilson. Go ahead, give Nielsen uh, a big pass rusher,
Yep.
or a Joey Porter Jr. Because I don't see Christian Gonzalez.
So
So
here's what I'll say. One of the things we heard from Terry Fontenot was when he was having conversations with Nielsen at the East West Shrine game. He was having with a lot of the line guys. They were having a lot of conversations because they basically were like, "Hey, games are won and lost in the trenches." I think if this situation were to pop up, I don't think we're touching CJ Stroud. I don't think we're touching. First of all, they're not going to be there in real life. But
right,
even if they were there, we're not touching Stroud or anybody else. I'm going to say Tyree Wilson because if we were to go, I think if Pease was still the DC, or if we had gotten Flores, or maybe even Fangio, any of those three guys were the DC now. I think it's possibly Joey Porter Jr. Because
right.
because just like we've talked about before, all three of those guys are kind of in the same boat defensively, and they all like to build basically build from the back forward.
Yep, right.
And I think with Nielsen as DC, Nielsen being a D-line coach, talking about everything he's talked about, hearing Terry Fontenot, I think it's Tyree in this particular situation. I think it's Tyree Wilson if it's anybody.
I think so too. I know some folks are saying, "Hey, trade back" or whatever, and I get it. But like I said, in this first few that we do on the site or on the channel, we're not going to do any of the trades.
It's just too much to take into consideration.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of these trades are very unrealistic. All right, so we're going to go with Tyree Wilson. Go ahead and draft him. Let the rest of the deal. Okay, let's see.
So there's my guy Darnell Washington. See if he survives. He's almost there. Almost there. Almost there. Oh, he's still there.
Okay, so Willie Doc at least wanted me to say the trades. Oh well, they went away. Whatever. Okay.
Did you not click on it?
I didn't. I don't know what like this. I don't know if it's because I'm running the stream at the same time, but this stuff's starting to act a little wonky.
Wonky.
Yeah, because like right now on stream I'm frozen.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I was. I'm not now. So
yeah. Yep. I'm back. Okay. Anyway. All right. So in our second round we have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's another electric guy. Darnell Washington, which I am like back and forth on Darnell Washington. Like I think he's a great player and I think he's worth a second round pick. I just don't know if we should be investing a second round pick in it.
I personally do because I think because I think we'll probably bring back at least Parker Hesse next year.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even sure if he's a free agent this year or not. But Parker Hesse will probably be back, maybe even Ferkser. I'm not 100% sure. But that way you could still run two tight end sets with a Darnell Washington.
Man, yeah, but you're man.
Technically you're running three tight end sets because you're going to have Hesse, Washington, Pitts. Pitts then gets to stay outside, do his thing. Darnell Washington gets to be the guy that absolutely mauls probably a lot of defensive linemen. He's just that kind of guy.
Right, but see, you're giving up on my guy Michael Pruitt. So, all right. Anyway, at the top of this, if we're looking at BPA, it would either be Jahmyr Gibbs, Darnell Washington, or Kayshon Boutte. Which I would take Kayshon Boutte as a as a wide receiver too. Willie Doc just tipped us $2, which we appreciate, and he says it's all good. Mock drafts are fun. Love the banter. That's what we're trying to do here. Like we're trying to get y'all like engaged with the because like I said, once this is done, I'm saving this and I'm going to post it to the YouTube page and I'm going to post it to Twitter. So I really hoping y'all enjoy this and get involved. Chris says Kayshawn Booty because I really feel like a wide receiver 2 is far more important than a tight end 2, especially if you can bring back Michael Pruitt.
All right, so Chris has put forth Booty. Does anybody like yay or nay on that, guys? Is we looking for a wide receiver, potentially wide receiver 2 in the second round here? I thought for some reason Booty was going back.
No, it was back and forth, and then he fully declared.
Okay, good. Okay.
Now, here's some interesting names though. Is Grevin Dexter, D lineman out of Florida, and this Cal J Chansey. These two right here are some very explosive D linemen who, if we don't land a Payne or a Rankins, that could be an interesting ad. All right, so now we got some folks clamoring for Gibbs, who could be fun, and Washington. So now we got one vote for all three of the top.
Well, I think Fred and Sip both are like Washington.
Okay.
And then we've got a couple of Chris and Chandler both for Booty. Mike so far is the lone Gibbs guy.
Billy Mills, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. We get a second and third, which would give us 5 picks for.
Nah, that's Tony Wright wheeling and dealing.
Oh,
Tony's always wheeling and dealing. I enjoy Tony's wheeling and dealing, but that's not what we're doing right at the moment. Billy says, I think we sign a wide receiver 2. So
possibly. Like I said,
go with Washington.
All of this, it'll be much more interesting to do these. I think once we're through free agency, because then we'll know.
Then we have a better. Yeah, clearer idea for sure. All right,
I think Washington is kind of in the same vein as a Pitts.
Yeah.
In that you don't see guys that
are that big and that freakish.
And I think if you get him, for one, that gives you another receiving threat because he can catch. But it also gives you a guy that you put him down there. You don't know exactly what he's going to do because he's, at least in college so far, has been an excellent run blocker.
Right.
Just absolutely mauls people in run blocking. So,
well, let's go with Washington then. I've got a few more Washingtons, so let's just do that and see where this thing locks up on me again. Hopefully it don't. It seems like it locks up when it throws up the trades. I may try to go in there and see if I can turn trades off if that's messing with the stream. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's where it locks up is when it throws the trades up there. So there we go. Okay. All right. So hey, our D lineman is still there. The one from Pitt.
And we get him a better I guess efficiency. I can't think of the word.
Oh yeah, like better value.
Better value if we want to go that route. And I would be down with that. I don't really know the guy all that much,
right?
But I would be okay with that. We could go with Mr. Andre Carter.
Yeah, Fred Budd says Pitts and Darnell would be unstoppable. It'd be fun.
I do think that's the case. That's the reason why I want that.
I'm not going with Andre Carter. I don't even care. Yeah. Y'all can't convince me.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell.
What's your wide receiver 2? That's a guy.
Yeah, if you want your speedy wide receiver who could take the top off, Tank Dell, and then a safety, Jordan Battle's there. Ooh, so that's interesting.
I like that. I like Battle at 75.
Yeah, Battle at you're getting a little bit of value there. He had him ranked 71, so at 75, that's some good value. We still need a cornerback, and we still need everything. So, let's see. Jalen Duncan had a good Senior Bowl if you think we're gonna maybe lose or like not bring back Caleb McGarry. But so Jamie Robinson was another good safety, but I think I'd rather have Jordan Battle if we're going to go safety. So,
Or do you? I don't know much about him. This linebacker from Alabama,
Henry Tutu or Toto. I don't know
him.
much about him. I've heard people be hot and cold on him.
Okay.
I haven't really gotten to looking into the linebackers yet. So I'm not 100% sure on him. So I'm thinking either we give Grady another running mate on that D line and Nielsen, or we go Tank Dell. I think that's the two I'm looking at here. Chris is saying Tank Dell. Chandler is saying Chansey or Cansey or however you want to say that.
Millie's on Tank.
Millie's on Tank Dell.
Yeah, Millie's on Tank. Blizz
Like
is
we
just
could use it because Tank,
a center, cornerback, safety. It looks like.
yeah, Tank Dell had a real good Senior Bowl. Like he showed that it wasn't too big for him. All right, there's another one on Dell. So let's just go with Dell.
Yep.
We'll take him in the third.
Well, because I honestly think that the most money we're probably going to spend if we're talking about free agents is probably going to be on defense. So I think they're probably going to maybe do a little bit more on the offensive side in the draft than defense potentially.
Right. All right. Next time we do this, I may let you run the mock and see if I freeze up less.
Will do.
I don't know if it's just because I'm hosting the stream as well as do it because this thing is just not liking it. Come on.
I think we so I'll say wrong one. I'll say this. Dre is saying don't replace OZ, bring back OZ though. I think OZ is back. I think I hope he is, but I mean if depends on what they do, it is what it is. But
right.
If he comes back as your like wide receiver 3, maybe 4, I think that's where he's going to be best.
Oh yeah, I think so. And the coaching staff really likes him. So Harvey's already seen my guy, Keanu Benton.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with Chris. Benton was a straight up and down wrecking ball at the Senior Bowl. Like I saw he's still there, and like I'm almost not wanting to give Chat a chance because Benton was a pleasure to watch all week.
I mean, it looks pretty like so far. Chris, Harvey, Chris again. You only get one vote, Chris. So, but yeah, I would say Benton.
Yeah, it looks like it's a clear cut Benton.
Well, because the next one, the as far as value goes, next one up is Cedric Tillman,
which we already got our wide receiver. Plus, y'all got to think we're picking again 2 picks later.
Yeah.
So, like, if we wanted a guy like Julius Brents, who was a good corner, or the corner out of TCU, Hodges Tomlinson is there. So let's just go ahead and go with Benton.
Yeah, I'm down with Benton.
Oh Lord, come on.
Oh, so far you haven't frozen yet.
Not this time. There we go. I think I made it through that time. All right, so now we got Zach Evans out of Mississippi running back, if we are wanting to run it back. Hodges Tomlinson. Tank Bigsby is a very interesting running back. Brents is a very long corner. Like he's got some long arms and he looked pretty good at the Senior Bowl. I'm not gonna lie. I think this might be a good spot to go with a corner. To be completely honest,
pull up the running backs. Who are the running backs? Because this is like the area where I think like if we're going to go running back, this is probably where we're going to go.
You got Tajay Spears still here.
Yeah,
but you got Zach Evans, Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby I think would be a good value here. To be honest,
there's Kenny McIntosh down there, but that
right, Kenny McIntosh.
But he'll probably be gone by the next round.
I think had he not hurt his hand, Roschon Johnson, we'd be talking more about him. And then Eric Gray looked good too. And then one of my personal favorites is Israel Abandakanda. He's another
It's just fun to say that name.
it is fun to say that name. And he's a good back.
Abandakanda.
Abandakanda. Everybody's thinking that we should try to hold out to the 5th and get Spears.
Well, so what's he at? What is Spears at right now?
Spears is 121. And our 5th round pick is or we don't have a 5th round pick. We don't get a pick again until the 6th. So I can almost guarantee there's gonna be somebody here. I don't know. If we want to wait.
What about edge? What are we looking like edge wise?
Edge, you got Byron Young, who looked okay at the Senior Bowl. This dude right here, 80-80, they have him listed as an edge, but he lined up everywhere and was almost unblockable all week long. Ali Gay, KJ Henry, and Isaiah McGuire are all put these in the range of D'Angelo Malone.
Okay.
They're decent. This guy was really fun. I'm not even going to attempt that name. I'll just call him HB.
Something Baldonado?
Baldonado, yeah. Habakkuk Baldonado.
Okay.
Or Habakkuk. He's fun. Yeah, there's nobody that really jumps out at me other than Lonnie Phelps. We could probably grab him in the 5th or the 6th.
Hell, that might even be the 7th.
Oh yeah, he might be there in the 7th. So yeah. Anyway, so
all right, so
back to I'm thinking one of the corners myself. Either
okay. I think corner here, and then because I do like Hodges Tomlinson,
right,
and Brent. I like both those guys.
Right. So, all right, chat. Out of Hodges Tomlinson and Brent's, who are y'all taking? Who y'all wanting to see there?
Chandler's in on Brent's, and so is Sip.
Okay. I liked Brent's. at the Senior Bowl. He was a big, long corner who moved well.
Millie's asking, is TCU running back coming out? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't if he was. He would have to have declared by now, and I don't see a TCU running back. So,
Day Rare Sports. I'm banging the table for Brent's physically.
Okay, let's do it then. Let's do Brent's.
All right.
Now we got a little ways to wait because
Willie Doc was in on Brent's as well.
Willie, okay, Brent's was a guy, I kid you not, during the Senior Bowl, we were good God, who is that corner?
Really?
Just tall, long arms, moved real well.
Sort of a Tariq Woolen kind of guy.
Kind of, yep. It very much had a Woolen feel to it. Let's see.
So, oh wow, that went nicely.
Hey-o. All right.
Probably because we're way later in the draft now.
Probably. All right. Ooh, our boy, right there. Right there.
Tajay in the 6th?
Tajay in the 6th. Tajay, or y'all going to rake me over the coals for Kenny McIntosh? And I'm good with either one of these two.
I like both those guys.
I ain't going to lie. I am good with either one of these two.
I will say this. I think Kenny McIntosh is a home run hitter.
Yep.
I think he can get you the home runs just as much as probably Tajay Spears can.
Right.
I will say this: if the thing that separates these two, in my particular mind, and I think I don't think Arthur Smith or even Terry Fontenot is thinking about this, but I think potentially you look at it in a situation where we get Tajay Spears, great player, we get McIntosh, great player. McIntosh is a guy that could potentially, not a lot, but you're going to get some butts in the seats because he's a Georgia guy, and you're going to get some Georgia fans that are going to want to come to the game to see Kenny McIntosh play. That's what's going to happen.
All right, so right now I got 1, 2, 3 for Spears, 2 for McIntosh. So like I said, I like both these guys, straight up and down. I like them both. I think that they would both be really good players. I think Spears is more electric and is a home run threat. Uh,
What's his size?
Spears, hold on. I'm afraid to pull it up and have everything fall apart
Well,
on me.
here I'll look it up real quick. I'll look it up.
I think McIntosh is bigger, if that's what you're going.
How do
Big
you
Truck
spell
Track
it?
Star says Kenny Mack, get the UGA guy. So
Tajay
Chris
Spears.
Chris is advocating for Spears for sure.
Uh,
I think if it comes down to size, I think Kenny Mack has it in that aspect.
so
But
Tajay Spears 5'10", 195.
okay, and what's Kenny Mack?
Kenny McIntosh. Uh, Kenny McIntosh 6'1", 210.
Yeah, I think Arthur Smith would probably lean more towards that 210, 6'1".
So season stats for Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears was 229 attempts
Uh-huh.
for 1,581 yards, 19 touchdowns, tied for third. Average was 6.9 yards a carry.
Right.
Um, Now I'll say this: 229 attempts. That's a lot of attempts.
That's a good. That's a good amount.
So, so you could say
I've heard
like,
it said that college attempts don't count.
nah. Whereas Kenny McIntosh, 150 attempts, 829 yards, 10 TDs, which is tied for 43rd, whereas Tajay Spears was tied for third.
Right.
But now Kenny McIntosh did average 5.5 yards a carry, which ranks 68th in college, and the 6.9 for Tajay Spears ranked ninth. Now, I will say that if they're taking into account the college playoff stuff,
Right.
then potentially we're looking at Kenny McIntosh and just in general playing more SEC teams, even some of the low. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, the SEC, even the lowly teams are better than every other
Yeah.
team.
Yeah. I ain't going down that road.
But I will say that they generally are going to be a little bit more rugged, in my opinion, than a lot of other teams that are not in the SEC.
I will say this. Like, I think this mock we're going to go with Kenny, and next mock like that we do if we're in the same situation we'll go with Spears because it's really like a flip of the coin. But I think the pass blocking that Kenny Mack provides is a little bit better than what Spears provides. To be honest,
I can get behind that.
and so I think that that's going to make him more attractive to NFL coaching. So we're going to go with Kenny Mack in this one. All right, we got two more picks.
I mean, I also just think that at the end of the day, we're talking about like they're two guys kind of in the same mold. Obviously McIntosh is a little bit bigger, can deal out a little bit more punishment, but he's also a guy that is a hometown boy,
Oh
or
yeah,
at least went to college here. And that's a guy that you can see a bunch of Georgia fans being super pumped about it.
for sure, for sure. King 7. If I put your, let's see. Yeah, it ain't gonna let me. You're
Uh,
late. You ain't missed much other than
no,
the entire show. Oh,
oh, there you go.
yeah.
You're
He
not.
says, "I'm late. What's up, fella? What's going on, buddy? It's all
I
right.
mean, you made it before the 7th round pick, so you're
That's right,
good.
man. You're here for the important ones. All right. um, now it's pretty much a free for all, right? It doesn't really. The 7th round doesn't really matter. We got our wide receiver. We got a D lineman. We got a corner. We got a running back. We got tight end and an edge. So we could really use an O lineman and a safety.
Yeah, I think O lineman's definitely going to be the way to go here. So let's filter out for what does O lineman look like.
Let's see. We could do interior O lineman.
I think
Uh,
that's where we're going.
trying to see if
Uh,
there's anybody. Juice Scruggs. I mean, that's just a good name right there.
that is a good name. That is a really good name.
I
I
mean,
think, man, get Stetson Bennett out of this chat. He is not going to fly the Falcons.
I
We
am
already
not.
got our
Look,
Georgia boy. We're not.
that's right. We got you. We got you your dog and
for
Kenny
two for
Mack.
two for two for two reasons. Stetson Bennett doesn't have NFL traits. Period.
Nah.
I like his heart. I like
Oh yeah.
everything else about him. he is not an NFL quarterback.
He's got that dog in him. I'll give him that.
He does have that. 2, you put him on this team, even if he is demonstrably not the better quarterback between him and Ritter, and Arthur Smith starts Ritter, you're going to lose the entire Georgia Bulldog fan base from ever even looking at the Falcons for the next decade, probably. Because, how could you? This guy won 2 national championships, and you're going to say that Ritter was better than him? No way.
Willie's just kidding. All right. Interior line. I like these names. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I don't know anything about them. I ain't gonna lie to you. Looks like we got a little bit of value in Connor Glavin, an offensive tackle out of Baylor. So, safety wise, Daniel Scott was at the Senior Bowl and played pretty well. So, if you want to take a kid with some upside, Daniel Scott is a guy who I would.
I think you do Daniels. If you do Daniel Scott, that's the guy that we think. Because I don't know his measurables,
right.
But that's a guy that you would probably look at, trying to fill out your special teams.
Exactly. Right now, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing in the 7th round. You're going to fill out your special teams, take flyers on guys. I'm trying to see if there's any other names that really jump out at me in other positions. That I was like, oh, I can't believe that guy's there.
Linebacker. We haven't taken a linebacker, have we?
All right, let's take a look. Okay, this guy right here. Aubrey Miller Jr. out of Jackson State. Dude, this guy brings the lumber every time he the one of the wow defensive plays in the Senior Bowl was made by him.
Nice.
So Aubrey Miller Jr. I think is if the chat is okay with, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on him because he's a guy who I would love to have in camp. We'll give the chat a second to see if I wonder if folks have checked out because it's the 7th round, as do most folks check out.
Yeah. Aubrey Miller, 6'2", 225, had 40 solo tackles, 2 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 0 interceptions this year.
Yeah. Like I said, he's a guy that, like Chris just says, he says, LOI jumped when I saw his name too. Exactly. And Harvey says Miller. So I think we're just going to go with Miller. He was a fun watch as far as the linebackers were concerned.
Nice.
Out there at the Senior Bowl. All right, let's see our last pick, and we're going to wrap up this live stream. All right, let's see. Overall, who we got? We got Quindell Johnson out of we could get Ronnie Flag Bell. Every time he went on a route, he was drawing a flag. So he got dubbed Ronnie Flag Bell out at Senior Bowl. Jonathan Mingo was a good looking wide receiver if we wanted to give somebody else a try. And DTR. If you want an interesting potential long-term backup QB, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a fun one. Somebody said Justin Shorter a threat at wide receiver. I don't know. I don't know anything about him. Yeah, Mingo was a lot of fun at the Senior Bowl. I wouldn't mind taking him.
Sure. I'd be down with a wide receiver.
Because somebody's got to give Frank Darby a run for his money.
There you go. I mean, the guy's been somehow only has 2 catches in the last 2 years, so he's not But right. I would say let's go with Mingo and see if he can at least make the roster.
All right. Well, all right. So we'll round this out with Mingo. All right.
Who's Mr. Irrelevant?
D. Winters, linebacker out of TCU to New Orleans.
All right, so we got.
I'm trying to hit the button to see if it'll. Okay, here we go. Now it's big. And everybody
I wanted the grades. I want to see.
I got you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Well, there's our draft.
Yep.
Tyree Wilson. Okay, go away. Tyree Wilson, Darnell Washington, Tank Dell, Keanu Benton, Julius Brents, Kenny McIntosh, Aubrey Miller Jr., and Jonathan Mingo. That was a pretty good draft.
The only thing I'm disappointed in is Tyree Wilson. When we picked, like, that was kind of the best guy that was still left on
Right.
the board. Um,
I think had it been left to me in that one, I think I would have went Joey Porter Jr.
yeah,
But I could see like Wilson a lot like Trayvon Walker last year. Wilson has those traits.
yeah,
Like he may not have it all put together yet, but he's got those traits that you want. So I will get this posted, a picture of this posted uh on the YouTube page, and I will get a picture or this posted on my Twitter for all y'all to.
I'll agree with this. Bradley, coached by Prime, can lay the wood. Sounds good to me for a seventh. I
That's
mean,
it.
that's really all you can hope for at that point.
That's it. Yep, Aubrey Miller. He was, like I said, he was a lot of fun down at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Folks, it is that time. It is time to switch the banners over to that one. And appreciate y'all hanging with us. That was a lot of fun. We'll probably do this again in another. Yeah, I'll probably do this again in another 2 weeks. Do another mock draft. We'll call this community version 1. And so y'all study up, and so that we can have some good discussions. As always,
I hope like this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed. I hope you guys enjoyed doing this. I don't know all the guys. Not nobody here does, but it's fun to talk about. And JR will pull some random college dude out of his butt and be like, "I know this guy. I
watched this tape."
Yes, for some reason, I don't know why. It's just
he's a good dude.
To me. Yeah, he called to me.
Take it easy, King. Man, we appreciate you stopping by, brother.
Absolutely, King.
All right, folks. As always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Jonathan?
At Jonathan M. Holder. Come follow, say hey, how's it going?
That's right. And keep your eye on the channel because we're going to start to get into like profiling of possible free agents, possible draft picks. I may even pull questions that I really liked, but we didn't get a chance to get to. So just keep your eye on the channel as videos will be coming out. And to all who donated to get me down in the Senior Bowl, I really appreciate that. That was great. That was amazing. Y'all were the real MVPs of that week. And but yeah, anyway, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.